Hey everyone, it's Creeperella here, and I am so happy to be back. I'm even happier to have you here with me. I'm going to be trying something a little bit different today. It's not a creepy reading, but it is creepy. It's from a little place called Reddit. I think you all know it. And what I'll be reading to you today is a little AskReddit called "What's the creepiest encounter you've ever had with another human being?" And to me, human beings are pretty scary monsters. You can be talking to one right now, and you wouldn't even know it. Before I get down to it, down in the links below, you'll find a little link to my Patreon. You can donate if you want. You don't have to. It really helps, though. Also, you can like, you can sub, or you can press that little red bell notification thing. Some people might not know it, but it tells you when I post things, like when I make new content. So if you want to know, and you want to be aware, click that little red bell. It would really make me happy. Don't forget to tell your friends about me. Now that's enough of that. Let's get down to it. When I was 10 years old, I had a really freaky thing happen at my house. I woke up in the middle of the night, really thirsty. It was around 1 a.m, and the entire house was dark. I got out of bed and went downstairs to get a drink. Conveniently, my mom had just gotten up to do the same thing. We head downstairs to the kitchen for some water. Right when we got in the kitchen, a random car pulled into our driveway, and a man got out. My mom and I are standing in the kitchen, watching him very aggressively start coming towards our door. He was wearing a hoodie and black gloves. Really big, burly dude. Right before he reached the door, my mom flipped on the light. Since the entire house was dark, he couldn't see us, but we could see him. The instant the light flipped on, he stopped and looked right at us, ran back to his car, hauled ass out of our driveway and down the road. Never saw the guy again. I don't know if he was trying to break in or what he was planning to do, but I had nightmares about it for weeks. Scared the shit out of me. I was at college one day and had an hour break between classes. I decided to take a spot at a huge empty table in a quiet courtyard just outside my next class and catch up on some reading for one of my other courses. A creepy-looking guy approached me and asked if he could sit with me. Since there were 3 other empty tables and no one else around, and the fact he was asking to sit with me, I thought he might be trying to sell me something. I decided to be polite and said yes. He took the bench right next to me. Our arms were touching. I moved away to get some personal space, and I was for sure creeped out. My radar was going ballistic at this point. As I moved, he grabbed my hand, laced his fingers in mine, and told me to relax. I was so scared, but he had like 100 pounds on me, and I couldn't get my hand away. He started going on about how amazing he was. You couldn't make this shit up. And all this other nonsense. I wasn't 100% paying attention because I was hoping someone would come by and help me. After about 5 minutes of him rambling on, he asked for my phone number. I told him no. He thought I was flirting with him. Then he got upset. I truly believe he would have tried to hurt me too if another student hadn't come by at just the right time and sat down at the table next to us. I got the fuck out of Dodge. 2 days later, when I came back for that same class, I saw him doing the same thing to another girl. I went up to her and acted like we were best friends, and I was coincidentally running into her. I was thankful I got her out of that situation. She told me she was terrified. We went to campus security and reported him. I don't know what ever happened to him, but I never did see him hanging around that area again. When I was 13, a taxi driver in Dubai asked me if I wanted to come to Pakistan with him to meet his mother. When I didn't answer, he asked my mom for my hand in marriage. I had a conversation with a man a few years older than me while waiting at some traffic lights on the Gold Coast. When we crossed, he thanked me for the company, walked up to another guy, and started beating the shit out of him. I was stalked by a brony in a fedora during high school. That's where this one ends. It kind of ends a little bit weird. They're going to do this to us. I can't really make them sound all right. Let's just go with it. A few years ago, my wife and I went to a haunted corn maze a couple days before Halloween. We'd been drinking a little bit, so we managed to get lost as fuck inside. We had wandered around for about 20 minutes when this weird-looking guy starts following us around. We made a turn and ended up at a dead end. When we turned around to find another way, the guy was right behind us. Really calmly, he looked at both of us and said, "Some psycho could come here and kill people. Everyone would just think it's part of the show." Scared the shit out of us. I have no idea if the guy worked for the maze or what, but we got the fuck out of there by cheating and walking through the walls of the maze. I would have done the same thing. I've had some pretty creepy encounters at haunted houses. I even had one guy say he loved me. I wasn't asking for that. On to the next one. I was walking to class one morning as a college sophomore and made the mistake of making eye contact with a random guy walking the opposite direction. I smiled to be polite. This story is why I don't smile at random people anymore. The guy proceeded to change directions and follow me into the library. I watched him out of the corner of my eye. He waited at an empty computer in the lab while I did my work, and then followed me out of the library. He never logged onto the computer he was sitting at. He never touched the keys. He was just watching me. I was creeped out, but unsure of what to do. I booked it to the class, and he tried to follow me in. Thankfully, the classroom was small, and there were no extra seats available. He had to leave. Class was a 3-hour lecture. He was gone by the time class ended. He was probably just a lonely guy with poor social skills, but I did not enjoy being followed all morning. Serves me right for leading him on with that slutty smile. Yeah, slutty smiles will get him. They know you want to be with them after that. Really don't like that. You can't smile at people, you can't wave, you can't be nice. If you're nice, you're flirting. It's just the life of a girl. I don't know why I started commentating, but I think I should keep doing it. Tell me if you like it in the comments below. A while back, my sister came to visit me. One evening, she says she's going for a walk. Code for she wants to choke up. She comes back and tells me there was this guy standing in the middle of the street with a long stick, just staring at her. Of course, I don't believe her, as I attribute it to her being high as hell. But then, after she goes back home, I see this guy with a stick everywhere. I see him at the park, in the street, in random driveways. I even saw him downtown one time. This happens almost every single day, and he never says anything. He just stares at me. I've seen some fucked up stuff in my life. Ex-Army infantry. But this guy creeps the shit out of me. I don't know if he's so creepy as he's just some weird guy who walks around with a stick. I've seen people who just walk around with snakes or lizards or, I don't know, maybe it helps them deal. Let's go to the next one. I let a guy I met online while gaming come to visit me after having what I felt was a clear conversation about how this was not going to lead to sex. The whole time he visited, including that he came halfway across the country without having purchased a return ticket, was creepy. But the icing on the cake was when he got so drunk he was throwing up. But he felt the need to assure me, this isn't because of you. I have really sound judgment in regards to the internet strangers, obviously. Don't ever let internet strangers come visit you at your house. It's just wrong. Don't do it. For the love of God, don't do it. All right, on to the next one. That was, don't do that. This is less of an encounter, but a few weeks ago, I was working a closing shift with a female coworker, and she was trying to lock the door, but the key was shitty and wouldn't lock it properly. Then I hear her screaming my name, so I run over to see what was wrong. This homeless guy had apparently locked eyes with her and was running for the door, like fucking sprinting for it. I held it shut, and she managed to properly lock it right before he made it to us. And he just gave us a nasty look and walked off. I don't know what the fuck that guy wanted, or if he just wanted to scare two young girls. But I'm just glad I'm leaving that place soon for a better job. I probably would have left it that night. That would have terrified me. That's scarier than any scary game I could have ever played. Kudos to you. That is just terrifying. That is heart attack fuel. All right, on to the next one. In college, I was waiting for the bus shuttle to arrive and take me back to my apartment complex. This young man sits next to me, but does so that he's looking right at me while I'm just looking ahead at the street. He's maybe 17 or 18 years old. He starts talking to me, but his cadence was very unnerving. Like someone with a bomb strapped to their chest, being compelled to follow a set of instructions. I can't recall the exact words he used, but I remember him talking about Bible and the end of the world. This didn't feel like your average recruitment attempt. This felt like a man on the verge of a breakdown. I would smile while offering short and polite replies. Every time I would say something, he would nod very slowly and look down a bit, and would then return to his fixed gaze. There was a noticeable sweat on his brow, but I don't recall it being a hot day. In the back of my head, I considered the possibility that I was about to become victim number 1 of a school shooting. Longest 5 minutes of my life. When I boarded that shuttle and it pulled away, him staying behind, I was so relieved. This one was a little scarier. I haven't had any encounters like that. I was once on a subway when this old guy started screaming about damnation and how all of the sinners were going to hell. It was pretty scary. I also got hissed at by a homeless man outside of Macy's in Chicago. That's a story for another time, though. On to the next one. For context, I'm a 21-year-old girl, and this was a bald, 45-year-old guy with a huge red knapsack, wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt. He also had really bulgy eyes, the kind that are really unnerving to make eye contact with. He approached me at New York Penn Station and then proceeded to call me so beautiful and go on about how his wife and son, who studies microbiology. Then he randomly switched to talking about the increased military presence and the Paris attacks, which had at this time occurred like a week or two ago. The conversation about the Paris attacks went something like this.
You know about the Paris attacks, right? The terrorism?
Yeah?
Well, it was actually supposed to happen right here in Penn Station.
Oh yeah.
Trust me, I know.
He then winked at me and walked away, and went to the 2 military officers nearby and started thanking them excessively for their service. Like 5 minutes later, he popped up next to me again and told me that if I'm planning on marrying anytime soon, I should study hard for it, like his son studies microbiology, and that people study more for their driver's license exam than marriage these days. Thankfully, my track number was called, and then I noped the fuck out of there. I would have noped the fuck out of there too. That was complete nope fuel. He was weird. He was really weird. Alright, let's try the next one. Was driving along the Hannah Highway in Maui at roughly 1 a.m. in a rental car with my mates. We were driving through a thick forest in the middle of nowhere, with no houses or towns in a 10-kilometer radius. Suddenly, I saw a small side road up ahead. When we got closer, I noticed a woman covered in a black coat standing on the side of the road. Didn't see a face because it was covered by the coat too. She was just standing there, frozen still. Needless to say, we all shat our pants and got the fruit out of there quickly. Okay, fruit. Sorry, you guys, I lost my composure there. It didn't help that this happened 20 minutes after a cow crapping in the middle of the road almost gave me a heart attack because I saw it only 20 feet before because of a small crest. Trolled my mates by stopping suddenly just after we saw the ghost lady, since they were in the back of the pickup. The screams of, "Drive, drive, drive, there's a ghost!" gave me a slight chuckle. I still can't get over got the fruit out of there. I like it a lot. Maybe I'll start using that. Still, that's pretty creepy. I mean, maybe it was just some chick in a black coat, because sometimes I'm that chick in a black coat out walking my dog, but yeah, that's disturbing. Let's try the next one. I was being shown a rabbit burrow under a shed when my friend came up behind me and put me in a chokehold and started suffocating me. I did the only thing I could and reached out for help to the only other person there, but he just stood there smiling at me. After a minute, the one guy let go. I have no idea to this day what they had planned, but I am eternally grateful they backed out of whatever it was. I left and never talked to them again. Yeah, friends with quotation marks, those guys were serial killers. I don't ever want a friend that's gonna put me in a chokehold. God, just don't have friends then, dude. Don't have friends. Alright, let's go to the next one. My boyfriend and I were walking home. We lived in a cabin at the top of a hill, and it was pitch black except for one light. We heard a rustling, and when we looked, under this light was a guy. But he was all over the place. We thought he was drunk until we realized he was bending in ways that was completely unnatural. Thinking about it now gives me the shivers. It was like he didn't have a spine. I tried to run, and my boyfriend said it was fine, and we walked home. When we got there, he admitted he was actually terrified, but didn't want to scare me in case I screamed. That shit sounds like something my boyfriend would do. Just Jesus Christ. That's really scary. I hope I don't ever run into a spineless jelly man in the dark. All right, on to the next one. Well, there's been a few, but one I can't really forget is when I was like 12. I was standing outside my dad's shop. I think I was in my school uniform, and this guy was on the back of a truck. He whistled, so I looked. Then he ran his fingers across his neck, so I looked away. But he just kept doing it till the truck went off. Creeped me out a lot. Why do men do that? Why do you think we want to see you rub yourself all suggestively? Go be creepy somewhere else, you weird creepy dude. Alright, there's another one underneath this one, so I'm just gonna read it. While I was in high school, me and some of my friends went to the downtown area of our city to play basketball. When we were done, we went to grab a bite to eat at Wendy's, where we were approached by a homeless dude who looked like Mr. T. He kept asking all of us for $5.46. But since we were broke high schoolers, we didn't really have the money and didn't want to give it up even if we did. He eventually sits down at the table next to ours and says, "Listen, I don't want to go back to jail, motherfuckers." Which then makes one of my friends start to get up, saying that we had to check his car for change. The homeless dude grabs him and shoves him down and says, "Sit the fuck down." Eventually, an old lady in the store gave him the money while we were sitting there, shitting our pants. We ended up seeing Mr. T a month later around the same area, and he had a new prosthetic leg. I didn't know he had a fake leg. This reminds me of a guy I used to see downtown. He would always stop you and ask you for money, and you don't stop. Don't try to give them money. There's a lot of crazy people out there. And he would say like a random social security number and then say we'd never see him again. But we saw him like every day. Yeah. Whew, downtown's a scary area. Okay, on to the next one. The day before I got married, I was driving back roads from Fort Knox to my job in another country. Worked at a convenience store with my mama. My fiancé was military, so when I see this bald-headed guy carrying a green rucksack, I think I should offer him a ride. We're in the sticks after all. I'm very, very myopic. I stop, and this guy gets in and looks like a lunatic. He tells me he just got out of the county jail. He proceeded to rock back and forth, saying over and over, "I gotta find me a woman. I gotta find me a woman." Like it's his fucking mantra. I freaked the fuck out, stopped at a mini-mart and told him I'd be right back. I burst out crying and had the clerks call the law. I had a mason jar full of dope in the car, and I didn't give not one fuck. I wouldn't have either. Okay, I'm going to continue on. Cops came and removed him from my car. No arrest or nothing, not my scene, and gave me a stern talking to. Then I had to go to work and tell my mama. It's been almost 30 years, and I can still hear that fucker saying, "I gotta find me a woman." Okay, that would be terrifying. Don't pick up people like that just because he looked like he was in the military. You could have been that woman. You could have been. Ooh. All right, on to the next one. A few months ago, I was walking about a block from my house when I turned the corner, and there are 3 men standing by a white pickup truck. For a split second, I see 2 of them talking to the third one in a hushed tone. Then the third man, a smallish Asian man, who looks like he might be mentally disabled, begins walking quickly past me, carrying 2 suitcases. He grins at me as he walks by. As I approach the other 2 men, they start to ask me why I don't help Mr. Chang carry his luggage. They insist he still has many miles to go. Mr. Chang, by the way, is walking up what I know to be a dead-end street. I'm already pretty creeped out, so I apologize and explain that I'm 17 and I don't have a car. This conversation is still taking place right next to their pickup truck. They insist that I can walk with him and carry his luggage. I tell them I'm busy and apologize again. They start telling me what a heartless bitch I am for not helping him. I pretty much just got the fuck out at that point. The whole interaction just felt surreal and very off. I don't know if I can adequately explain how weird and creepy it felt at the time. No, that's really creepy. They're probably going to do something to you. You're probably going to get shoved in one of those suitcases. They probably already had a chick in there. Whew, don't trust strangers. People are scary. They're super scary. All right, on to the next one. Junior year of high school, 16-year-old me taking the subway home. Notice this large man with a shaved head and creepy pedo smile sitting across from me, just staring at me like I was a juicy steak. Feeling uncomfortable, I get up and move to the next car. I sit down. Shaved head follows a minute later and again sits across from me. I decided to move to another car, not the next one, but 2 away, figuring he'd leave well enough alone. Not so. He followed. I notice that we are nearing my stop, so I get up and make the move to the next car, and proceed to get out of the car onto the platform as the door closes. Shaved head was looking out the door at me, banging on the door, wiggling his tongue at me. I nearly shit myself. Train pulled out. I dashed out of the station and grabbed the first bus out. I felt I was just minutes away from being an after-school special. It could have been, or he was just some creepy guy who wanted to scare kids. No, you were probably going to be an after-school special. He was probably a cannibal or something. I'm just going to go to the next one. Unfortunately, I may have inadvertently have been the subject of one of these stories. I was in this forest, decent-sized nature reserve near where I live. Would have been midnight by then. It's very, very quiet there at night. A few times people have come and lit fires there, and people come to do drugs, probably buy/sell them too. But it's infrequent enough that I never see anyone there that late before. I should mention now that I can be creepy looking. I'm tallish and very thin, jokingly get called Slender Man sometimes, with very long arms and fingers that look a little out of proportion. I also tend to dress in dark clothes, have a gaunt face, and am pretty pale. Glow like a ghost in the light. I was walking one of the higher trails and heard footsteps and voices somewhere below me. I was pretty curious as to what other weirdos were hanging around at the time, and decided to get a quick look. I couldn't find a place where I could see the lower trail, so I ended up following them for a couple of minutes. I would have been going that way anyway, but I was sticking closer to the edge than I would have been. They were getting faster, and the voices started sounding weird, kind of scared. I got close enough to understand them. They were a couple, and the woman was saying they were being followed, and she could hear someone behind them. The guy says there's no one there, and shines his torch around. If you guys don't know what a torch is, it's just a flashlight. And catches me right in the beam. I'm mildly photophobic, so sudden bright light like that hurts my eyes and gives me a headache. So I didn't move or say anything. Must have looked like I was just staring right at them, looking creepy. Then the guy starts shouting, and I didn't much feel like explaining myself, so I just vanished. That sounds like something I would do. I can be inadvertently creepy too. A lot of the times I walk up behind people, and I'm a little light person, so they don't hear me coming, so they just suddenly turn and hey, there's this little person behind them. I scare a lot of people. That has nothing, I don't know. Let's go on, shall we? I was 16 at a theme park and was on a ride called the Frisbee. A guy that looked like Buffalo Bill sat next to me. He kept looking at me, and during the ride, I screamed, to which he turned and said he liked screamers. I just kind of ignored it, and then my sandal fell off my foot, so he grabbed it with his foot and told me, "I got you, baby." After the ride, I thought I had walked away enough and went to another ride, but as I turned around in the line, he was right behind me. This one was a little hard to read, but did he give you your sandal back? He was probably trying to figure out what size you were. I hope you're not a 16. My friends and I were out late on Halloween night. It was late, so most people had gone inside. Anyways, as we were walking, we see this guy in a big black coat on the sidewalk across from us. He said, "You kids want some candy?" My friend said no thanks, and we noped out of there real quick. Did he have candy? Was it a Halloween costume? I don't know. Alright, on to the last one. I was at a party when I was about 4 with my parents, and a guy came up to me, claiming to be my uncle, and he said he wanted to show me something in the woods down the road from the house. Followed him into the clearing in the woods, and then my mother appeared out of nowhere. She was apparently following the guy the entire time, and brought me back to the party. Later on, she told me to never go with people I didn't know, even if they said they were relatives. I cringe thinking about what might have happened if she had not followed the guy. I wouldn't take my 4-year-old to a party anyway. I don't got a 4-year-old, but I definitely wouldn't let me follow a guy into any clearing. I would have stopped that shit right away. That's effed up. Anyway, that was the last one. I hope you guys enjoyed this new thing I'm doing. If you did, tell me in the comments below. I really, really like comments, so come on. Give them to me. Also, gonna reiterate that I do have a Patreon now, and it does help. You don't have to donate. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, whether you donate or not, but every little bit helps. Also, don't forget to like, don't forget to sub, don't forget to press the little freaking bell notification, because you need to do that now, if you want to get anything shown to you. And what else can I think of to say? Thanks for hanging around. Thanks for listening. Love you, creeps. If you like this, I'll do more. I will, I promise. See you around.